with close to 2 decades of experience in consulting, and as the founding member of TCS Consulting Practice, we have Mr. Mohan Kancharla, who is one of the top 100 global management consultant, and going to talk in detail about design thinking and open up avenues for introspection.
Potter's wheel symbolizes the confluence of critical thinking and complex problem solving through human creativity. The complexity here is deciding the speed of spin for the hands to smoothly shape. The criticality is evaluating the texture and the moisture of clay. There are no machines or molds, and even for the slightest of error, the whole clay is lumped and started all over again. That metamorphosis from mud to a masterpiece is a sheer delight to watch. Mind and matter are synchronized. Human creativity is at its natural best. I'm Mohan Kancharla, a management consultant by profession, a consulting catalyst, and a design thinker by passion. I'm here to share my experience on how a critical thought like design thinking can be applied to a complex problem like consulting. The creativity part is for you to judge. Fables are the best way to learn the first principles of any practice. Let me tell you a story. In Alice in Wonderland, Alice asked the Cheshire Cat, "Would you tell me which way do I have to go from here?" "That depends a good deal on where you want to go," said the cat. "I really don't care much where," said Alice. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go," said the cat. A consultant lives with this dilemma day in and day out, with such abstract problem statements, but can't be advising like the Cheshire Cat. So how does one define consulting? Consulting stems from the Latin word consultus, and it means legal expert, a professional who provides expert advice on a particular domain. Like a three-legged stool, in consulting, the client, consultant, and the consumer must always be in balance. Clients' complex problems seek critical thinking from consultants to provide creative solutions to their customers. Consulting is challenging the assumptions. You will always be suspect if you have all the answers. On the other hand, by asking the right question, you will be powerful. Leave no answer unquestioned, and that's exactly what we're going to do. What are the different types of consulting? Take a look at the classic 2x2 matrix. The complexity of a consulting offering or execution ranging from simple to complex versus the criticality of an organizational maturity or individual competency ranging from low to high. On the top right quadrant, we have strategic consulting, where the focus is on strategic directions. CEOs or board members are the buyers here. In business consulting, CEOs are the buyers and the focus is on business outcomes. In functional consulting, CXOs are the buyers and the focus is on a particular domain. In IT consulting, CIOs are the buyers and the focus is on the technology of business or a business of technology. Lastly, in operational consulting, as the name implies, the focus is on operational efficiencies and the buyers are departmental heads. The diversity is surely alarming. The saving grace, however, is the commonality of execution. Consulting cycle comprises of 5 phases: understand context, current state assessment, target state definition, analysis and findings, and lastly, report and recommendations. The reason it is cyclic is because consulting engagements can start from any phase and end in recommendations. A new CEO, for example, can engage a consultant to quickly understand the enterprise landscape. So here it's current state assessment plus recommendations. Or he or she may want to explore emerging markets. That would mean target state definition plus analysis and findings plus recommendations. So far, so good. What then are the unresolved complexities? Consulting and consultants rely on executive interface. The end user is seldom in the picture. And you would agree, this poses a serious problem, especially in today's customer-centric marketplace. Let me explain further. In consulting, the problem statement is derived from a problem hypothesis, which in itself is an abstract synthesis of the sponsor's or the stakeholder's viewpoint, seldom that of the end user or the extended customer. And despite this ambiguity, that stated hypothesis becomes the gospel truth in defining the objectives and outcomes of the engagement. Other such complexities are the short duration of engagement resulting in multiple assumptions, interviews being conducted with canned questionnaires, inherent tendency to believe that something is broken or something that worked elsewhere will also work here, misinterpreting benchmark data, and the challenges of implementation. Thus arises the need for critical thinking. To me, critical thinking is exemplified in design thinking. Tim Brown, the CEO of IDEO, provides a simple yet powerful definition. Design thinking is thinking as a designer would. The objective is not for business people to become actual designers, but build on the belief that much can be learned from the designer's way of working and thinking. Keeping customers' needs at the heart of every development strategy, sparking creativity, and addressing business problems with innovative solutions. Design thinking in consulting sure does evoke an exclamation. It did for me too about 5 years ago. The reason being, design thinking in products is proven, design thinking in services is evolving. However, design thinking in consulting, now that's radical. And as Steve Jobs says, design is not how it looks like or feels like, design is how it works. So let's now experience how design thinking works in consulting. We first need to understand two important concepts: design thinking principles and design thinking practices. Principles are the what of design thinking. Human-centered design is empathizing with end users. Embrace ambiguity and diversity is accepting uncertainty as a reality. Openness to radical collaboration is learning from diverse perspectives. Co-create impactful solutions is promoting emotional engagement. And lastly, implement and iteratively improvise is proactively working on perceived shortcomings. The matrix of these principles and practices. The second key concept is design thinking practices. Practices are the how of design thinking. Empathy maps are a 2x2 matrix. It explores what the end user is saying, doing, thinking, and feeling, including the pains and gains. Business model canvas describes how an organization provides value to its customers across dimensions like segments, channels, cost, revenue, and value proposition. Morphological analysis is an innovative problem-solving technique. It systematically structures and explores all possible solution options. Value proposition canvas describes how an organization's products or services fit the market. It builds upon two key concepts from the business model canvas on customer segments and value proposition. The matrix of these principles and practices is the design grid, my innovation, and the rule engine for the following case study. Consider an IT organization embarking on an internal digital transformation initiative to streamline its operations to support anytime, anywhere availability of their applications to their associates on any device. Let's now see how the design grid can be leveraged with relevant principles and related practices to execute this engagement. In understanding context, the conventional approach is interviewing the sponsors or stakeholders. Design thinking recommends interacting with the end users to get real insights. The relevant principle is human-centered design to reach out to the end users, and the practice would be empathy maps to plot the pains and gains of the end users with whom we are empathizing with. Let's take the sales manager as our end user and explore further. For him or her, the pain would be unavailability of applications on the go. The gain would be being able to respond to customers in real time. In current state assessment, the conventional approach is reviewing existing collateral and available documentation. Design thinking recommends to assess the current state from the end user's lens to sense real problems. The relevant principle here is openness to radical collaboration to invite active participation from all stakeholders. The practice would be business model canvas to assess the current state of the enterprise across all dimensions. For the sales manager, the important building block is the channel, which currently is only the enterprise systems, which doesn't provide real-time data. Moving on to target state definition, conventionally, we restrict ourselves to finding solutions to known problems. Okay? Whereas in design thinking, it advocates collaboration among stakeholders to define the future. The principle here is embrace ambiguity and diversity to resolve differences and accept diverse viewpoints. The practice would again be business model canvas to define the future along all the dimensions of the enterprise. In future, sales managers would love to see their applications on mobile or web-based channels. Moving on to analysis and findings, conventionally, you find point solutions to fix gaps. Design thinking recommends co-creating solutions, finding synergies to ensure scale. The relevant principle here would be co-create impactful solutions to nurture a sense of belonging to the solution. And the practice here is morphological analysis, wherein we are able to break the bigger problem into smaller bits and solve the big picture. So rather than looking at all the areas of a sales manager, explore one or two select areas, say customer relationship or revenue management, and then analyze what channels would best suit their mobility needs. Lastly, in report and recommendations, conventionally recommendations and implementations are disjointed. In design thinking, recommendations can be prototyped through conference room pilots. The practice now is once again human-centered design, so that we want to ensure that the aspirations of the stakeholders and the ambitions of the executives are all met. The practice here is now value proposition canvas, wherein we can plot the customer profile and also the value map. And by now, we would also be able to share what the pain relievers and the gain creators are. Mobile-based apps, being the recommended solution, will now be able to provide real-time data to the sales managers so that they can respond to their customers in real time. Quod erat demonstrandum. Not sure if you have heard the term before. It's been a while since I used QED. It simply means hence proven. We have successfully seen how design thinking principles and practices are applied across the consulting life cycle, bringing in the end user into center stage, allowing them to collaborate, allowing them to ideate on diverse solutions, co-create solutions, creating a sense of belonging, and leveraging a trend to implement. What you have seen is deep design at play. Deep design is a creative expression for design thinking in consulting. Deep design is the potter's wheel reimagined in digital blues. The hand that shapes the wheel is now the mind, represented by the human face. The potter's wheel is now the 5 interlinked hexagons, a common representation of all design thinking frameworks. The end product, the pot, are now ideas shaped in the form of post-its in a bulb to denote innovation. The end product, the pot, are now the ideas shaped in the form of a collage of post-its in the shape of a bulb to denote innovation. Bear in mind, complex problems will continue to exist. Critical thinking will continue to be a key skill. Deep design is your creative compass. You can navigate in 3 ways. 1, dwell deep into the real problem. Ideate to sense and respond to the unmet needs. 2, co-create impactful solutions. Prototype to fail fast and improvise with every iteration. And in both of the above, human creativity continues to be the foundation. Human-centered design is the force multiplier. This is my experiment. Hope it enriches your experience. Thank you.